Range Rover had driven down this bridleway. All three men were shot through the head at point-blank range. Detectives say they're keeping an open mind, but believe the killings have all the hallmarks of a gangland murder.
Syndicate gunman executed car trio. A mystery drug syndicate may have ordered the triple Rettendon murders, the Old Bailey heard. Their target was possibly Pat Tate, who double-crossed them over a cocaine deal, claimed defence lawyer David Lederman QC. He said the syndicate hired a professional hitman to execute 37-year-old Tate and two other drug barons. Mr. Lederman added that Tate, a gangster with a long prison record, had many enemies. He had already survived one shooting at his home in Gordon Road, Basildon. He recovered after hospital treatment. Mr. Lederman claimed that Tate had upset the syndicate for not handing over the full share from a cocaine deal worth thousands of pounds. The barrister also claimed that Supergrass Darren Nichols, 32, was possibly involved in the syndicate and knew Tate from the days in jail. Mr. Lederman, who represents Worms, accused Nichols of being a liar and said he became the prosecution's star witness to save his own skin. He added, "Nichols has something to do with these killings. What it is, we will probably never know. But what his involvement with this syndicate, we shall never know." Mr. Lederman insisted there was no forensic evidence to link Worms and Steele with the heartless shootings in December 1995. Nichols has said that Worms, a hefty former nightclub bouncer, had worn size 12 Wellington boots at the murder scene. There were no such footprints to match that description, added Mr. Lederman. Also, the alleged getaway car of VW Passat was checked out by police scientists. They could not find any bloodstains or gunpowder inside the vehicle. The car, described as something of a heap, had 4 different makes of tyres, but none of them showed up at the snow-covered scene in Workhouse Lane, Rettendon. Mr. Lederman, who was into the third day of his closing speech, commented, "It is extraordinary that not one piece of evidence, let alone a combination of evidence, was found at the murder scene to connect the two defendants. The scene does not support the Crown's case, and there is no evidence to confirm the account put forward by Nichols. Worms of Suffolk and Steele of Essex deny murder." The trial continues. Warning over informant evidence. A judge warned a jury to treat the evidence of Supergrass Darren Nichols with great caution. He said the Rettendon triple murder trial depended largely on the testimony of Nichols, the prosecution's star witness. In his summing up at the Old Bailey trial, now in its 21st week, the Honourable Mr. Justice Anthony Hiddon told the jury, "I need hardly stress the importance of Nichols' evidence. So much hinges on what he said. Nichols is a convicted criminal who was engaged in drug abuse and the importation of drugs into the country. You must bear in mind it was in his own interest to become a protected witness, knowing he will come back to court for sentence, hopes to get less time to serve. Nichols is awaiting sentence after pleading guilty to conspiracy to smuggle drugs and supplying steel with a pump-action shotgun, not the one allegedly used at Rettendon." The judge told how 32-year-old Nichols befriended Worms, Steele and one of the victims, Pat Tate, in prison. The friendship continued after they were released, and Nichols claims Steele, 55, got him involved in smuggling drugs from Amsterdam. Nichols had become so entangled with the drug rackets that he flew with Steele, nicknamed Mickey the Pilot, when he went on foreign trips. However, he refused to fly with former bouncer Jack Worms, who he feared. Nichols said he was worried he might teach me how to parachute jump without a parachute. The killers had managed to lead the streetwise pals unarmed down the lane, like lambs to the slaughter. Experts said the victims were taken completely by surprise. The deadly cartridges were fired from point-blank range using a pump-action or self-loading shotgun. Rolf, the driver, was probably the first to die. Detectives found the Range Rover's ignition was off, but the automatic gear shift was still switched to drive. Rolf's foot was on the brake, his hands was on the steering wheel. It looked as if he'd pulled up at traffic lights. Tucker, sitting beside him, was next. He had his hands in his lap, one holding a mobile phone, and his legs were still crossed. The only one who may have known what was coming was Tate in the back. He also had a mobile phone in his hand with a strap wrapped around his wrist. The motive certainly wasn't robbery, the three men carrying nearly 1,500 between them. Police had no shortage of suspects. Jury out in triple murder trial. An Old Bailey jury was retiring today to consider its verdict in the Marathon Rettendon triple murder trial. The jury of 8 women and 4 men had listened intently since September the 1st to a wealth of evidence from dozens of witnesses. The prosecution timed the shooting at around 7 p.m. on December the 6th, 1995. During the lengthy trial, the defence counsel would try to cast serious doubts on the credibility of main prosecution witness Darren Nichols. However, the judge, Mr. Justice Anthony Hidden, reminded the jury in his summing up yesterday of a bizarre twist in the case. He said an East End gangster, Billy Jasper, claimed to have unwittingly driven an unnamed gunman, not the defendants, to an area around midnight to carry out the executions. Jasper, a serving prisoner, was allegedly paid £5,000 for the deed. He then drove back to his home at Woodford, but could not remember the exact date he had done it. The judge told the jury, "You will have to make up your own mind about Mr. Jasper's evidence." Another witness living near the murder scene claimed he'd heard shots at around midnight. Williams of Suffolk and still of Great Bentley, Essex, was arrested more than 5 months after the shootings.